than your words. Be aware of the message you send your employees with your body language, whether you mean to or not. So I used to own a company that did mystery shopping. And, of course, for those of you who don't know what mystery shopping is we would send customers into your stores or to your bank branches, and they would evaluate the level of service by just being a normal customer, but they would send the results back to us. Well, we had a mystery shopper that went into a bank one time, and they pulled out their wallet, they pulled out their checkbook, they wrote a check, and they did a transaction with a teller. The teller did a fabulous job, did everything that they were supposed to do. Now the shopper is taking their check, putting it back into their wallet, putting it back into their purse, and just gathering their stuff up to leave. Well, the teller must have thought that it was taking too long, because the teller decided to tap on the counter like this. Well, that tapping with the pen ended up telling the person that, hey, you're taking too long. Whether the teller meant to say that or not, that was the perception that was left. Now, bouncing your leg. You may be sitting down with a customer. They may be pouring their heart out to you about their needs, and all of a sudden you start bouncing your leg. What does that leg bounce tell the customer? Well, it could tell them that you're impatient, that you lack urgency, or you have the lack of interest in them, so be very cautious about that. Now, one thing that happened to me was I used to have an employee that used to come in my office unannounced, never really cared about what I was doing. He would just come in, sit down in my chair, and begin talking to me. And he had great feedback. It wasn't so much that. It's just that he had no consideration for my time, and I'm always pretty busy. So one day he came in, sat down at the chair, and I looked over, and there's my hand, my left hand, on the telephone. And I thought, what's my hand doing on the telephone? Well, I all of a sudden realized that I was sending him the message across the chair that I wanted him out of here, that I had a call to make, an important call to make, and I needed him to get out of here. And it really wasn't true. But it's one of those subliminal messages that maybe we send that we really don't realize. How about raising an eyebrow at a customer? See, maybe you've got a friend in politics. He comes up to you one day and says, I swear I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And you raise an eyebrow at that. Well, you just told that person, that good friend, that you've got disbelief, questioning, or surprise. Let's talk about nodding your head. See, you might have an employee that comes into you and says, I have got a horrible problem, Brad. And they sit down, they start dumping their heart out to you. And you're listening intently, and you're nodding your head. See, outwardly, nodding of your head says you've got approval, or encouragement, or understanding. Now, inside, you might be saying to yourself, well, I don't have time for this crap. But externally, your head means you're totally in the conversation. Nodding your head can be done standing, it can be done seated, but it sends a very important message. Now let's talk about leaning forward. Leaning forward can be done either seated or it can be done standing. See, when you're standing up and talking to somebody, if you just roll your shoulders over a couple inches towards the person, it draws them into the conversation, shows you've got interest or concentration. But also, if you're seated, envision yourself leaning back in your chair. Also envision yourself leaning forward towards the customer. Which one tells them that you have more interest in them? Obviously, the leaning forward. So watch your body language. It sends very important messages. Looking away from a customer. As you're sitting there conversing with somebody, make sure you keep your attention focused on that person. Looking away, letting your eyes glance away from time to time, it could send the perceptions that you're easily distracted, that you're bored, that you're impatient, or that you lack interest in that person. So make sure to stay focused at all times. Remaining silent is a good thing. Remaining silent shows you have interest or you have respect. And actually, remaining silent is also about concentration. It says you're concentrating on what their conversation is all about. So God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Let's try to use them proportionately and become better listeners. Crossing the arms and the chest. Have you ever had a supervisor come to you with their arms folded, and was that ever good news? No. So when you see somebody that's got their arms folded in front of them across their chest, in many instances, they're trying to protect themselves emotionally from you. See, that's their armor. That's their barrier to try to keep you out. So watch their arms. If you do all the things that we just talked about, which is remaining silent, nodding your head, leaning forward. If you do all these things properly, when you see those arms drop down to their side, that means that you've disarmed them. They're now emotionally available to communicate with you. You've done a great job. Watch your posture, especially when you're around your employees. Keep your shoulders rolled back. Do not let your shoulders slouch over. Keep your shoulders back. Keep your energy high, because anytime they see your shoulders roll over, they believe that you are maybe tired, you're unenthusiastic, you're discouraged. A whole lot of stuff can come out of that. So watch your posture carefully. Widening of the eyes. Whenever you see widening of the eyes, that can mean motivation, it can mean anxiety, or it can mean interest. So what are some of the things that your body says that you may not be aware? Watch them carefully. Few of us like being told what to do, and most of us resent being dictated to. During employee reviews, have the employees tell you what steps they're going to take in order to improve themselves and realistically how long it'll take. We call these personal action plans. Have the employees answer 3 questions about themselves. The first one should be, what should I start doing? In other words, what am I going to be committed to doing tomorrow that I did not do yesterday in terms of trying to find a way to exceed the customer's expectations? The second thing should be, what should I stop doing? In other words, there's some things that I'm doing right now that don't put out good perceptions to the customer, so what am I going to stop doing? The third thing is, what should I keep doing? What are the things that I'm doing already that I think create a great experience for the customer? And am I even aware of them? And I need to make a list of those. See, the employee has now created their own destiny instead of you. And they're going to feel much more responsible to make these changes happen. Mentoring. Now, mentoring is not a new concept, but I want you to understand why mentoring is so important. See, as human beings, whenever you hire a new employee into your organization, one of the first things that we do as humans is we seek out people a lot like us. If I'm a smoker, I'm going to find the smoker. If I'm a tattooer, I'm going to find the tattooer. And if I'm a body piercer, I'm going to find my fellow piercers. That's what we do. So whenever a new employee comes on board, the reason you should have a mentor program is you want them to be like somebody else, chances are. What I would ask you to do is find somebody who you respect and who you admire, the person that you hold in highest esteem in that department, and let these new people know that. So when a new employee comes on board, you say, Bob, I'd like you to introduce you to Joe. Joe is going to be your mentor. This is the person that we hold in highest esteem. What you have just done is you've just told this new employee, we want you to be like this person over here. Because if you don't do it, they're going to go seek out the person that they want to be like. And that's not going to work well for you in most cases. Seeking the wow factor. See, I'd like you to challenge the employees to provide you, on a monthly basis or quarterly or even annually, whatever period in time, at least one thing that the employees can do to exceed the customer's expectations. I want them to think outside the box. I really want them to think ingeniously. I want them to not think like their typical business. I want them to think outside. Think like some other business. Think about places they've gone and things that they've done where people in this environment of this world made them go, wow, that was a great experience. And maybe we can apply it to our company as well. You want innovation. Again, you don't want to stifle it. You want them to think. You want them to give you all these great ideas. Maybe have them write them down on a 3x5 note card and give them to you. The one thing you need to let them know in advance is, however, we're not going to use all of the ideas. Maybe we'll all vote on some of these things and try to implement some of these in order to exceed the customer's expectations. This helps the employees feel like more of a part of the process instead of victims of the process. I'd also like to have you consider creating a weekly praise list. What that is you keep a list of the employees that report to you, and you cross their names off of the list as you praise them, so that every single week your goal is to keep your eyes up, to observe your employees working and try to catch them doing something good, so that you get to praise each person that works underneath of you at least once a week. So once again, take a sheet of paper, write down all the employees' names, photocopy that piece of paper so you have a piece of paper for each week, and keep your ears, eyes open and watch your employees and catch them doing something good, because I truly believe that praise breeds change. If you compliment the good things they do, it'll drive them to a higher behavior level. And you can even praise them in front of each other, because then it tells the other employees, wow, is that what it takes to get praise around here? Well, I can do that. And I'd like you to also praise specific behavior or action, and not just thanks for the good job. Be very specific. Tell the employee, you know that angry customer you had today at noon? You handled that beautifully. Congratulations. They understand that. And don't hit and run thank you. Take time to make sure that that moment is special. Either bring them into your office, take them over to your desk, or just pick a time, maybe even during an employee meeting, and make that a special moment. Also, do not praise ordinary performance, because they might not be motivated to do better. If it's somebody who always uses the customer's name, sure, praise them. Let them know that is absolutely fabulous. You are very good at that. But next week, don't make that the same praise, because you're not going to drive them to a higher level doing that. I'd also like you to consider purchasing some thank you cards and keeping those in your drawer. And keep your eyes and ears open for a special employee during the week who's really stepped outside the box and tried some new things. I mean, you know they're challenging for this person, and that person was willing to step out and do something different. I'd like you to consider pulling out that thank you, write down some quick short note, set it on their desk so the next morning when they come in, they can pick that thank you note up, and that will have a huge impact on their day. As Dwight D. Eisenhower once said, you do not lead by hitting people over the head. That is assault, not leadership.
If you're interested in other products or services from Brad, please visit his website at www.bradworthley.com. If you're interested in having Brad assist you with creating or enhancing a strong service culture, speak at an event, or perform leadership or customer service training for your company, please email him at bradworthley@msn.com. That's bradworthley@msn.com. Or call 425-957-9696.